For decades, humanity has spent billions of dollars launching massive telescopes into orbit and broadcasting radio signals into the freezing void of deep space. We are desperately searching for a whisper, a signal, a tiny proof that we are not alone in the universe. But what if we are looking in the wrong direction? What if the answer isn't hidden in the stars, but buried under the sand? Ancient humans did not know how to lie to stone. They carved exactly what they saw. They built monuments to the entities that descended from the sky, and they recorded their encounters with terrifying mechanical details that a primitive mind simply could not invent. Official science dismisses these records as myths, hallucinations, or religious metaphors. But when identical myths involving hermetically sealed suits, flying machines, and advanced astrophysics appear on 4 different continents among cultures that never met, it stops being a coincidence. It becomes a global pattern. Today, we are going to examine 5 ancient discoveries that shatter the official version of human history. These are not blurry UFO videos. These are physical, documented artifacts that point to one terrifying conclusion. Someone was here before us, and they didn't come from a neighboring valley. 1. The Palenque Astronaut, Mexico. We begin our investigation in the suffocating jungles of Chiapas, Mexico, where a stone tomb cover continues to give modern engineers sleepless nights. In 1952, Mexican archaeologist Alberto Ruz Luillier descended into the depths of the Temple of the Inscriptions in the ancient Mayan city of Palenque. 25 meters below the pyramid's base, he uncovered a burial chamber holding a massive solid limestone sarcophagus. The 5-ton lid of this sarcophagus featured a carving that defies all traditional religious explanation. Mainstream archaeologists claim the relief depicts the Mayan ruler Pacal the Great descending into the underworld, falling into the jaws of an earth monster while tangled in the roots of the world tree. But aerospace engineers look at this exact same carving and see something entirely different. The posture of King Pacal perfectly mimics the ergonomic seating of a modern astronaut in a cramped cockpit. His upper back is reclined. His knees are brought up toward his chest to absorb G-force. His hands are manipulated in a highly specific way. One hand operates a lever, while the other grips a control stick. His feet rest squarely on what look like pedals. Even more disturbing is the vehicle itself. Pacal is surrounded by a mechanical capsule with a pointed nose. Right in front of his face is an apparatus resembling an oxygen mask or a breathing tube. And at the bottom of the structure, clearly visible, are exhaust flames violently shooting downward. Why would the roots of a mythological tree have exhaust flames? Pacal ruled for 68 years, an impossibly long reign for that era. Was this just a symbolic burial? Or was this ancient king remembering a very real, mechanical craft? If you are already questioning what we've been taught, make sure to hit the subscribe button. We uncover the history that textbooks want you to ignore. 2. The Dogon's Impossible Astrophysics, Mali, Africa. Visual evidence can be debated, but mathematical evidence cannot be ignored. We now travel to West Africa, to the Dogon Tribe of Mali. The Dogon live in villages clinging to the cliffs of the Bandiagara escarpment. Until the 20th century, this isolated tribe had no written language, no electricity, and certainly no optical telescopes. Yet when French anthropologists spent decades living with them in the 1930s, the tribal elders revealed astronomical knowledge that European science wouldn't confirm for decades. The Dogon knew that Sirius, the brightest star in the night sky, was not alone. They claimed it was a binary star system. They described an invisible companion star they called Potolo, which translates to the smallest seed. But they didn't just know it existed. They told the anthropologists that this invisible star was made of a material heavier than anything on Earth, and that it took exactly 50 years to complete one orbit around the main star. Here's the problem for skeptics. Sirius B, a superdense white dwarf star, is completely invisible to the naked eye. It was only photographed by modern astronomers in 1970. We now know that Sirius B is so incredibly dense that a single teaspoon of its matter weighs about 5 tons. The Dogon were absolutely right about its weight, and modern measurements show its orbital period is 50.4 years. The Dogon were right about the math, too. How did an isolated tribe without glass lenses guess the exact orbital period and density of an invisible star? The Dogon elders didn't claim to discover it themselves. They openly stated that this knowledge was gifted to them by the Nomo, amphibious beings who came down from the Sirius star system in an ark accompanied by fire and thunder. What do you think? Did an ancient tribe just make a lucky guess about advanced astrophysics? Tell me your theory in the comments, and let me know what country you are watching from. 3. The Camonica Astronauts, Italy. If beings from the stars truly visited Earth, surely they wouldn't just land in Africa or Mexico. Let's look at Europe. In the freezing alpine valleys of northern Italy lies Val Camonica, home to the largest collection of prehistoric petroglyphs in Europe. Over 300,000 images are carved into the rocks here, spanning 10,000 years of human history. Most of the carvings make perfect sense. Hunters, deer, agriculture, and tribal warfare. But among these ordinary scenes are figures that violently clash with the Bronze Age setting. Researchers have dubbed them the astronauts of Val Camonica. Carved into the rock are humanoid figures wearing massive spherical helmets. These are not simple circles. They feature radiating lines resembling antennas or communication arrays. The bodies of these figures are thicker and bulkier than the normal humans drawn right next to them, looking exactly like pressurized environmental suits. Official archaeology tries to brush this off as priests wearing ritual headdresses. But ancient artists drew what they saw. They drew dogs that looked like dogs, and deer that looked like deer. When they drew normal humans, they used thin stick figures with empty heads. Yet when they drew these specific entities, they painstakingly added the bulky suits, the helmets, and the antennas. On one panel, a helmeted figure is even holding a device that emits wavy lines toward the ground, resembling a scanning tool or an energy weapon. They didn't invent a fantasy. They documented an encounter. 4. The Martian God of Tassili, Algeria. If you think the Italian petroglyphs are strange, what is hidden in the heart of the Sahara Desert will leave you speechless. Tassili is a vast plateau in southeastern Algeria. Today, it is a barren, lifeless landscape of sand and stone. But 8,000 years ago, it was a green savanna, and the people who lived there left behind over 15,000 breathtaking rock paintings. When French explorer Henri Lehote documented these caves in the 1950s, he found one figure so disturbing that he named it the Great Martian God. Towering at 6 meters tall, the painting depicts a massive humanoid wearing a seamless, modern-looking hazmat suit. The head is completely round, devoid of a nose, mouth, or ears. Instead, it has a smooth helmet with a single, massive visor or 2 giant, empty eye ovals. Lines run down the suit that look exactly like zippers, seams, and mechanical joints. On other cave walls nearby, figures are depicted wearing full hermetic suits with breathing tubes connecting their backs to their helmets. Why would an ancient African artist who brilliantly painted highly realistic giraffes, cattle, and swimming humans suddenly invent a pressurized spacesuit with breathing tubes? Human imagination relies on what it knows. Ancient gods were almost always depicted as animals, human hybrids, or beautiful men and women. They were not depicted wearing heavy functional engineering gear, unless of course the artists were painting exactly what landed in their savanna. 5. The nuclear vimanas of the Mahabharata, India. Our final piece of evidence isn't a drawing or a carving. It is a written technical manual from ancient India that describes a reality so terrifying we only understood it after the year 1945. The Mahabharata and the Ramayana are ancient Sanskrit epics written down thousands of years ago. Within these holy texts are over 200 detailed references to flying machines known as vimanas. These are not magical flying carpets. The texts describe them as metallic crafts, powered by mercury vortex engines, equipped with mirrors to disguise themselves in the sky, and capable of traveling into space. But it's not just the flying machines that are shocking, it is the weapons they carried. The ancient texts describe a weapon called the Brahmastra. It is described as a single projectile charged with all the power of the universe. When deployed, it produced an incandescent column of smoke and flame as bright as 10,000 suns. The text states that after this weapon was used, corpses were burned beyond recognition. The surviving humans lost their hair and fingernails. All the birds fell from the sky, and all food became poisonous. For centuries, historians thought this was just colorful, poetic mythology. But after the United States dropped atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, modern scientists realized with horror what the ancient Indian texts were actually describing. Hair and fingernail loss, poisoned food, and sudden mass animal death. These are the exact clinical symptoms of acute radiation sickness. How could a primitive scribe describe the exact biological effects of nuclear fallout thousands of years before the atom was split? Robert Oppenheimer, the father of the modern atomic bomb, knew the truth. After the first nuclear test, he quoted these very texts, famously saying, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds." A mechanical cockpit carved in Mexico, invisible stars mapped in Africa, spacesuits painted in Italy and the Sahara, and nuclear fallout recorded in ancient India. You can dismiss one of these as a myth. You can dismiss two as a coincidence. But when multiple civilizations, separated by thousands of miles and thousands of years, all tell the exact same story, it is no longer a myth. It is humanity's forgotten memory. We keep looking up at the stars, hoping someone will finally speak to us. But the truth is, the message has already been delivered. It is carved into the stone, painted on the cave walls, and written in the ancient scrolls. The only question is, why are we so afraid to read it? If this video made you question the official story of humanity, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Let us know in the comments, which of these 5 pieces of evidence do you find the most convincing? Until next time, keep your eyes on the skies and question the impossible.